In this video I'm going to show how to use a variable ND fader filter with Sony A5100 camera. I'm using a Canon FD 75-200 mm f4.5 push-pull zoom lens, which has great image quality and versatility for videos. First, I'm attaching the 52 to 77 mm step-up ring on the lens. Then I am mounting the ND filter. Okay, I remove the lens cap. This is the 52 to 77 mm step-up ring, and here is my fader filter. This is the rotating element. Okay. Oh. Okay, here you go. This is an ND2 to ND400 neutral density filter, which gives one stop through quarter, 18th and so on, up to around 8 stops of light filtration in theory, but it cannot get more than 4 stops in practice. I need a variable ND filter for my video projects when I want to shoot bright daylight with wide open iris aperture to get as shallow depth of field as much as possible, 1/50th of a second shutter speed for 25 frames per second videos, or when shooting 50 frames per second the shutter can be set to 100th, and I may not need the LD filter at all. Here I set the video frame rate to 25 frames per second and accordingly the shutter to 1/50th second. (25p) and then the shutter speed to 1/50th. I turn the aperture ring on the lens to f4.5 and I set the ISO to 100. And the ISO is on 100. I enable zebra stripes in the gear 1 zebras menu. Zebra, it's off. I enable zebra stripes, and this is how it looks. And I make the histogram visible on the screen to help evaluate the exposure of the shoot. And with the display, here you go. The value of the and the exposure indicator, you see there, now it's showing plus 0.3. On the screen depends on the metering mode. In the metering mode, it's in the camera page 5. Okay, we have this multi, center and spot. I use the multi. The histogram and the zebras are independent from the metering mode. I just want to show you how the exposure is changed. You see, now I change to the center area, which is brighter. Now the exposure indicator shows plus 1.3. When I change to spot, you can see now the exposure indicator shows plus 2. I change back on the metering mode. Now it's change back to the. So this time the metering mode is set to the multi, so practically the entire frame, and the histogram is in sync with the exposure metering indicator, the indicator. I set the left button, drive mode, in photo mode to zebras when using the camera in movie mode. Here I come to the gear, go to the very last page, custom setting, left button, I set it to zebra. And this way I show you how I use zebras. When I enabled with pressing the left button, I can see where the reflection reaches that point. So for example, on the screen you can see that the areas with the zebra stripes reached the 95% of reflection. And of course I can also use the ND filter. You see, now I'm turning the ND filter to get rid of the zebra stripes. Again, ND filter, and then controlling the zebra stripes. Okay, for the rest of the demonstration I don't need zebra stripes. When I use a manual focus lens with the touchscreen, I set the question mark button to white balance or metering mode. Custom settings, the question mark button, this time is in metering mode. Now I change to white balance for this experiment. So when I press this button, I will have the white balance setting readily available. When I use a manual focus along with an LCD viewfinder, I set the question mark button to focus magnifier. Now I can see how much the scene is overexposed. It's plus 0.7. Hopefully the ND filter is enough to adjust the exposure of the shoot. Now I'm turning the anti-fader filter, and now I set the exposure to 0. And I think, and I'm watching the histogram, I'd say this is more or less fine. And with the zebra stripes, I just enable zebras to see. Okay, I think this is pretty fine. When the exposure is set, I set the white balance with a gray card usually, but I skip this step now. I use focus peaking to adjust the focus, and then I touch the screen to magnify the view to make sure focus accuracy. Fortunately, focus peaking works with the magnified view too. And now I start recording, and after a couple of seconds I'm pulling the focus to the background target using the touch to magnify function and focus peaking. Okay, I touch the background object, I start turning, you see, the focus peaking dots appear. Now I think the focus is set on the background object. Now I zoom back just for this demonstration, and then back again. You see, when the screen is not in magnified view, you cannot see here the focus peaking dots, but when I touch that, you can see immediately. And now this is done while recording. Of course, when in magnified view, the camera is recording the normal scene, not the magnified view. This punch in while recording is a very important function which is not available on Panasonic, Olympus, Nikon 1 cameras. After I press the record button, I cannot punch in magnified view on the screen of my Nikon J5 while recording. This punch-in function is very helpful when I don't want to stop recording because of the continuity of the soundtrack, just to adjust focus, for example. Focus peaking may not be precise enough in a number of situations, at least not on a 3-inch screen. I guess I wouldn't need magnification on a 7-inch and 1920 by 1080 resolution dedicated monitor. Now I stop recording. And now I start recording, and after a couple of seconds I'm pulling the focus to the background target using the touch to magnify function and focus peaking. Okay, I touch the background object, I start turning, you see, the focus peaking dots appear. Now I think the focus is set on the background object. Now I zoom back just for this demonstration, and then back again. You see, when the screen is not in magnified view, you cannot see here the focus peaking dots, but when I touch that, you can see immediately. And now this is done while recording. Of course, when in magnified view, the camera is recording the normal scene, not the magnified view. This is my terrace laboratory. And thank you very much for your attention.